What's up, and welcome to the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. I'm your host, Kat Kozad, manifestation expert, money mindset and fulfillment coach, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur. Come sit with me while I spill the real tea on what it's like to practice using intentional manifestation, demystify all of the woo-woo and confusing bullshit that comes along with creating the life of your dreams, and give you a realistic view of what it's like to be on a personal, spiritual, and professional growth journey. The goal of this podcast is to support and guide you towards manifesting all of your dreams, shed light on the things that people are too scared to talk about, and encourage you to become the person who gets to have it all, be it all, and do it all. I am so happy you are here. Let's fucking do this thing. What's up, loves? Welcome back to another episode of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. I'm so excited to be back recording podcast episodes this week. I took a week off from recording podcasts last week to get my inner world into alignment, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about on this podcast episode today, as you can see from the title. Because getting your inner world into alignment comes first beyond everything else, because when our inner worlds are not in alignment, it makes everything else so much more fucking challenging. And like I said, that's exactly what we're going to be digging into onto the podcast today. But to just give you a little bit of a backstory, so this past week, I found myself in a little bit of a funk. And I haven't experienced a funk in a hot minute. And when I say a hot minute, I mean like probably 8, 9, 10 months since last time I had experienced any sort of funky energy like that. And it is something that used to happen to me all the time. Like, I used to live in a perpetual state of funk. It just felt like the normal. It just felt like what my life was. And what I realized from it was that the funk that I lived in the past was totally a byproduct of the way that I treated myself, the way that I treated my body, the way that I talked about myself, the way that I talked about my life, the beliefs that I had about myself and about my life, essentially, because that's what then manifests into our lives. Duh. That's what we talk about here on the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. So if you've been listening to the show, you know this. But essentially, anytime I find myself in this funky sort of energy, it's because old belief systems and protection mechanisms are coming to the surface and ultimately are trying to guide me back to old places, as opposed to continuing to step into this energy of moving forward and transcending past it and stepping into an even greater and higher level version of myself. And that's exactly what I was experiencing in this past week, was recognizing that there's been this level of discomfort in my life recently. A lot of discomfort, if I'm being honest, because I've been doing a lot of inner work to continue to elevate into the highest version of myself and really taking steps that I've never taken before in my inner work journey to continue to elevate into the highest and greatest version of myself. And my subconscious mind and my ego was freaking out and trying to bring me back into my comfort zone, even though the comfort zone doesn't always feel good, and got the best of me this week. And I want to be completely honest and transparent with that, because it's like, we're all fucking humans. We are all humans. Like, if you are on this inner work journey, we're all going to have moments like that. And I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's really destructive when leaders in this space around manifestation, around healing, around any of it, pretend like they don't experience this shit. Like, you absolutely do. there's a lot of hard shit that comes along with choosing to be on a journey like this. And I got to meet with one of my beautiful friends for lunch the other day, and we were just talking about how we have to be honest with ourselves in the fact that, like, we're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. When we choose to up-level, when we choose to do things that are in alignment with our highest good, we're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. And in those times that you're not 100% perfect with it, or you're feeling challenged to even get into alignment with it, these past stories of doubt and self-criticism and whatnot are going to come up, because it's going to try to guide you back and lead you back to your comfort zone. And it's okay if it happens. It's okay if you have your own personal winter season inside of yourself where it feels as though you just want to stay stuck inside that little area. But ultimately, getting your inner world back into alignment is what's going to guide you out of that winter season inside of yourself, out of that comfort zone, out of self-sabotaging behaviors, if that's what's coming up for you, and out of that funk, and allow you to continue to transcend past whatever it is that you're experiencing and elevate into the highest, greatest version of yourself, so that you can continue to manifest bigger, better, and more abundant things into your life. So that's what I've been going through this past week, and what that's looked like for me, because I feel as though it's always nice to kind of give like an idea of what it looks like. I've always been super interested in what it's looked like for other people when they've been experiencing discomfort or self-sabotaging behaviors, and the transition of what it can look like. So in the past, and when I say the past, I mean like 2019, 2020, when I would self-sabotage, it would look like a multiple month sort of spiral where I would be on this path to create change, start to up level, do things that I knew were going to be super beneficial to me, and reach this level of discomfort, and then would self-sabotage in the way of like drinking my ass off, wanting to escape from my current reality, reaching a place of just like complete burnout where I literally couldn't do anything other than watch Netflix or like go party for months on end. And that was what it used to look like for me in the past. It used to be super destructive to what I was wanting to create for myself, and like would totally be this self-fulfilling prophecy of why I felt like shit in the first place, and almost felt like I couldn't escape from it because it's just like such a cyclical pattern to get stuck into. And what it looks like for me now is I just was really tired this past week. I could not sleep enough. I literally like was sleeping until 10, 11 o'clock every single day, and then getting up, not really wanting to do much. Still like making my bed, still taking care of my body and like eating really nutritious foods, and most days trying to get myself outside for a walk at least, but just feeling so down and feeling like very homesick, feeling like I wanted to escape what my current circumstances were, go back home, hug my mom, just like feel some sort of level of comfort, especially because I am so far away from my family and so far away from my best friends, but was able to really slow down into it and surrender to the experience and give myself permission to fully feel into it, so that I was able to move forward and get my inner world into alignment, and ultimately now feel so much better. Like, the sun is shining today. I hopped out of bed this morning. I did my yoga. I looked at old photos and videos from last summer with some of my best friends, laughed my ass off, just like did the things that I knew I needed to do to get myself back on track and back to a place where I am feeling so much more inspired and so much more uplifted than I was this past week. So with all of that being said, we're going to be talking about getting your inner world into alignment and why it's so important, and honestly, the impact that it can have if you don't get your inner world into alignment. So manifesting anything in your life is going to be more challenging if your inner world is not in alignment with your truth. So I want to break that down because I feel as though there can be a lot of confusion as to what that means. Like, alignment is a hot word on the internet right now, especially like on Instagram and in the coaching space. It's like, all you have to do is get into alignment. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, first time I heard somebody say like, you just need to get into alignment, I was like, oh, so I just need to like think happy thoughts all the time and be in this high vibrational energy, and that's alignment. And that's bullshit. That's not true, because alignment doesn't always feel good. But getting into alignment with your truth isn't always going to feel good. So what I mean by this is that majority of people are so disconnected from their truth, are so disconnected from their inherent worthiness, are so disconnected from themselves, from what is true to their core, because of societal conditioning, because of the stories that they were taught to be true growing up, because of all of these external things that have created this feeling of unworthiness or feeling of being disconnected from what is actually true inside of your heart, inside of your soul, because of honestly, this society that we are in and all of the lack and the scarcity and the not good enoughs that are infused into it. And this conditioning makes us believe that we have to have the things, have the money, have the relationship, have the career, have the looks, have XYZ, whatever it is, in order to be worthy. And when we are trying to keep up with these societal standards, when we're trying to put ourselves into the position where we have to achieve these things in order to feel good enough, then that's ultimately when you are going to feel this internal state of lack. You're going to feel like you aren't good enough. You're going to feel like you can't have the things that you want because of this like false standard that is set. And it really makes you stop and feel like you have to compare yourself to everybody else and come back into this place of not feeling good enough inside of yourself. Like I was saying before, just like this pattern, this like self-fulfilling prophecy that plays out, that reconfirms why you shouldn't feel worthy, why you shouldn't feel good enough, why you shouldn't feel like you know what is best and is true for you, because it's just so ingrained in our society. But the reality is, and this is what I mean by getting into alignment, is coming to this place and this understanding of the fact that like you are already whole. You are already whole as you are right now. And this is something I really want to hit on, because this is something that I used to joke about with like my friends, and something that actually was like a joke because I felt this deep layer of insecurity inside of myself. But it's like, we don't need fixing, like quote unquote fixing. We don't need to fix ourselves. We don't need to change ourselves to be something that we are not in order to be worthy or in order to be whole. The reality is like we really just need to come home to ourselves. And that's the part of alignment that doesn't always feel good, is addressing what are the things outside of me right now that I'm attaching to, that I say I must need in order to feel good enough, in order to feel worthy, in order to feel good about myself. And really stopping to take a look and recognize that those are the things that are creating this disconnect from your truth and from your core in the first place. And essentially, like, what the work is to come to this place inside of yourself of recognizing that, like, you're good with or without these things. You are totally whole. You are totally worthy. You are totally good to your core with or without these things. And what I found for myself and what I've seen in the women that I work with is a lot of the time that we are disconnected from that wholeness, that worthiness inside of ourselves is, one, when we are not taking care of ourselves. And when I say taking care of ourselves, I mean your mind, your emotions, your physical body, and your spiritual self. It's all aspects of yourself. Otherwise, there isn't this balance in those areas, creating this full, whole wellness inside of yourself. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that I'm such a firm believer in the fact that, like, it's not just about one area of your life. It's about all areas of your life, doing the work to heal all of these different things so that you can show up as the happiest, healthiest, wealthiest version of yourself. 2, it is when you find yourself comparing yourself to other people, comparing yourself to what they have accomplished or what they have, how they look, whatever it may be, and really not honoring your greatness and what you stand in independent of anybody else. 3, when you are not feeling grateful for where you're at, who you are, what your life is in the here and now, and really allowing the stories of doubt and not good enough and whatnot to come in and run the show and essentially push you into this position of feeling the funk, feeling that lack, feeling the disconnect, because that's how we ultimately get into a state like that, is like when we are not honoring what we are grateful for inside of ourselves and inside of our lives. Because no matter where you're at, no matter what your circumstances look like, there's something to be grateful for. But when we are in these states of being out of alignment with our truth, we don't feel that gratitude because we're so disconnected from our core. Like I've been saying, so disconnected from what is true for us at our core. And a surefire, quick and easy way to get back into some state of alignment is bringing yourself back to a state of gratitude inside of yourself. And so what I want to preface with all of this is the fact that majority of the time, if you are disconnected from your core, I'm actually going to take that back. Not majority of the time, 100% of the time, if you are disconnected from your core, it is due to subconscious limiting beliefs that you have about yourself or about your life based off of either your conditioning or some sort of trauma you experienced throughout your life that is creating that disconnect. And everybody experiences this. Like I said at the beginning, anybody who says that they don't is a fucking liar. They absolutely do, but they're not allowing themselves this level of vulnerability to actually show up for the world and say that it is something that they experience, or they're lying to themselves. And ultimately, that will catch up and bring them to the place that they have to address it, because we, as humans, are going to experience all emotions. Not just the pretty, shiny, fun, blissful ones to experience, but also the not so fun, the depressing, the sad, the frustrating, the anxious, all of the emotions that we don't typically want to experience because society's conditioning around it of it not being something that is acceptable. And really understanding that, like, that is part of your wholeness. That is part of your fullness. And even in these moments where you feel out of alignment, you are still whole. in those moments. And you have the power to bring yourself back to this state of honoring and recognizing your wholeness in those moments where it doesn't feel so easy to do so. And that's just like I've been sharing, that's like what I got to do for myself this past week, is honor myself in those moments that it felt super fucking uncomfortable. It felt really sad. It felt really lonely. It felt really depressing. And listen to what the voice of my core, of my soul was saying versus what my ego was saying, which was, there's something wrong with you. You shouldn't be feeling this way. Come on, Kat, you do this work. You should be able to bring yourself up out of this. And just like so many stories, as opposed to just accepting the fact that like, if I can meet myself where I'm actually at, then that brings me back into alignment with myself. And I want you to visualize this. So for everybody, when you're feeling some sort of funk, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling out of alignment with yourself, you trying to push past that and think about, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z to feel better. I need to accomplish this. I need to accomplish that. I need to blah, blah, blah. Story goes on. When you are doing that, you're taking yourself from where you're at right now, and I'm drawing like a line down the middle of my body, and you are bringing yourself outside of yourself. You are taking yourself somewhere that you are not currently. And when you are trying to get yourself back into alignment and you're taking yourself further away from where you're at right now, that isn't going to bring you back into alignment. What's going to bring you back into alignment is bringing yourself back to where you are right now. Bringing yourself, and once again, I'm drawing a line down the middle of myself, bringing yourself right here. Honoring and accepting what is actually there and what is actually present for you. Because without that acceptance of it, then you're not going to be able to move forward in a way that is honoring your truth and that is actually in full alignment. So another way to word that or phrase that for all of you is that you are not in alignment when you are not honoring what is there and what is true for you in that moment. So if you're experiencing hard emotions, you're experiencing unpleasant emotions, you're experiencing the doubt, you're experiencing all of these things that are keeping you in that funky energy, it is going to be challenging to actually move forward and get into alignment with the highest version of yourself if you're not meeting yourself where you're at right now and getting into alignment with what is here right now. And this is what I was talking about earlier on in the episode where I said like alignment isn't always easy. Alignment's really fucking hard a lot of the time because it requires this level of acceptance, this like radical acceptance for self no matter what the experience is, and really recognizing why you feel that, why you're experiencing that in the first place, so that once you've accepted it and once you've honored it, then you have the ability to move forward with yourself fully and wholly, as opposed to saying, okay, this is where I'm at right now, but this is where I want to be, so I'm not going to address what is going on for me right now and just try to keep pushing past it and past it and past it, because that's where burnout comes into play. That's where depression comes into play. That's where all of these low vibrational, unpleasant experiences come into play. And once again, I want to say we're all going to experience these. So there's no judgment. There's no need to feel wrong or bad or negative about it. It's just what it is. It's just part of the experience. And so that's the importance of getting your inner world into alignment first. Because when you are in that state of trying to push past or just so down in the trenches of the unpleasant experience, it's going to be really challenging to manifest the things that you desire into your life. But when you can come into this place of acceptance for self and honor yourself in what you truly and actually need, which most of the times for all of us is just like getting clear on, okay, what does my physical body need? I probably need to go outside, nourish my body with some really great food, move my body. What does my emotional self need? I need to feel these emotions right now. I need to sit with them. I need to actually process them. What does my mental self need? I need to understand where I'm at right now and why I'm here, and then choose this level of acceptance for self and continue to move forward. And what does my spiritual self need? Do I need to connect with the universe? Do I need to connect with my highest self? Do I need to connect with my guides? Do I need to connect in some sort of way that I'm not connecting right now to bring myself back into myself? And when we can address those pieces of ourselves, we're coming back to ourselves. We're coming back into this place of home inside of ourselves, as opposed to feeling as though we need to depend on the external and all of these things outside of ourselves to dictate whether we are whole, whether we are in alignment, whether we can be okay with ourselves and what is happening in our lives. Because ultimately, just like I said, those external things outside of you, they're not going to actually bring you the level of fulfillment that you think that they're going to. They're not going to bring you the permission slip of like, okay, now you can feel good about yourself. No, it's all about you coming back to yourself and honoring the uncomfortable, honoring the not so pretty, honoring what is true for you in that moment, and sitting with yourself, being with yourself, guiding yourself back to this place of connecting with the voice of truth inside of yourself and the voice of your soul, the voice of the highest version of yourself, which is a practice. I'm not going to lie, it's not always the easiest thing. It's a practice to get to the place where you can even differentiate the difference between the voice of your ego and the voice of doubt, to the voice of your higher self and the voice of your soul. But this willingness to sit with yourself and be in it and accept yourself for where you're at, then that's going to help you start to sift through the different voices and step into this position where you are choosing to identify with the voice of your soul and with the voice of your higher self, so that you can transcend whatever experience that you are in and whatever you're going through. And when you do that, you are so magnetic for your manifestations, because when you are identifying with the voice of your soul, the voice of the highest version of yourself, the voice of your truth, your set point of attraction is so much higher than when you're identifying with the voice of doubt, with the voice of your ego, with the voice of the conditionings and the not good enoughs. And it's such a massive shift. It's such a massive difference. And this is something that I wish for everybody, is getting to this place inside of yourself where you can differentiate the two and help yourself work through the times and the moments where you are identifying with the voice of your ego and you are stuck in those self-sabotaging behaviors or whatever it looks like for you, and move into the position through this radical acceptance to the place where you are getting back to your soul, to your wholeness, to the core of yourself. So I just went off on this podcast episode. I hope that all of that made sense. That is exactly what I've been going through this past week, and it's kind of hard to put into words sometimes, this journey and the healing process and everything that we do. But this is the best of my ability to really help you understand what that looks like and what it means. And if anybody has any questions on getting into alignment inside of themselves, feel free to send me a message on Instagram and connect with me over there. I would love to hear where you're at right now, and if you are having a challenging time getting your inner world into alignment, and I would love to see if I can help you. So I'm going to leave you with that, but thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode, and I'll chat with you on the next one. Oh my gosh, thank you for listening to today's episode. I am so grateful to have these no bullshit talks with you. If you enjoyed today's episode or the podcast as a whole, please spread the love by leaving me a review on iTunes or sharing the podcast with others. This is how I will be able to spread more of these good vibes and be able to make more of an impact on the lives of others. And if you're not already part of all of the goodness and communities that I have to offer, check out the show notes. I have links to the different ways that I can support you on your manifestation journey and help you live a life full of more money, fulfillment, and freedom. But that is all for now. So big love and hugs, and I will chat with you soon, babe.